Monday is brought to you by Pull-Ups. Hit it, Queen Emma. In the first episode of season 4, there's a trip out to Kansas City.
Yeah.
I would like to know, you said that Jason, you could tell that he was very connected. I absolutely love going out to Kansas City because I think it feels like a warm hug.
Yeah.
Everyone there is delightful. It
Truly.
feels great. You get delicious barbecue.
Arms open wide, honestly.
Is there any like culture shock moments that you had going to Kansas City?
Culture shock, maybe not, but it was definitely different weather. Oh my God.
Yes.
Which, as you can tell, my eyebrows as Kylie aren't necessarily real, right? So in that sweaty, hot kind of weather, keeping my eyebrows on was job number one.
Don't let them melt.
Down my face,
Yeah.
And then also this season was the first time I've worn a wig. And that was, again, helpful because my curls in that weather, if we tried to keep those straight, it would have been a real disaster. Probably would have had to be written in as a thing, actually. Whereas the eyebrows, I think that would be pushing it. we like to pretend they've been microbladed, you know?
Sure.
But so that was the kind of first. I also remember when we landed there, I'm not great with sleep. I can battle with insomnia stuff, which isn't ideal in our industry, but it means that I'm up at certain weird hours when a lot of other people have gone to bed. And I remember sitting outside of the hotel that we were in, and there was the most incredible rain and lightning storm. And it felt almost like this biblical cleansing. And that's something that, I definitely am not used to in England, even though I did experience a pretty gnarly storm recently there. And it's global warming, man. It's just crazy, the climate changing. I kind of enjoyed that moment of sitting and watching that and being like, wow, this city's just prepared for this.
Yes. The crazy thing about Kansas City, I would assume, in a bad storm, the weirdest part is that it feels like you can see on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So the storm could probably be pretty far out and you're still getting to watch the lightning dance.
It was crazy. It was a long time. And then I will say too, I don't know if I've ever seen skyline like that. Mm-hmm. It was this endless abyss of like, if you tilted your head the other way, it was like a different universe up there. Mm-hmm. It literally created these entire worlds. I love cloud shape spotting. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I literally was finding it. It was almost like the Emerald City up there with all these different animals and things going on. And I was showing everyone what I could see. But I found the skyline pretty profound too, of just space. And you just realize how beautiful the world is if you look up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I love going out there to visit.
Yeah.
That was a lucky, obviously written into the show on purpose, but love that. That's such a nice moment.
It was also a great way to come back, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you take all of these characters that have done this for a few seasons and you throw them into a place that they aren't used to.
Yes.
And it felt like a camaraderie and like a sort of a great way to bring the gang back in a slightly out of context space.
Yes.
Because all of the nerves and stuff felt like warranted,
Yes.
because we weren't back in our offices immediately.
Yes.
Also I loved my outfit where it's like Dorothy in Kansas, but slightly wrong. Which that actually came from me reaching out to the costume designer, I believe, and being like, oh my God, it's a Dorothy moment. And then it was the wrong Kansas. And I was baffled by that. And Jason was like, that's great. We're going to keep it because it's great.
That's perfect.
But it was, and because it was a real ode to Dorothy and just the idea that he's quietly like, oh. Even the bag looked like Toto. I was like, this is so great.
That's perfect. Yeah. Now, did you have any of those moments coming to the US where it was like culture shock because you're now LA based?
And I have been for a while. I remember when I first was moving out to LA, the first Borat had just come out. And I made the mistake of going to see that maybe 2 weeks before I was actually moving my life across the ocean and being a little
Alarmed?
Yeah, I was like, oh boy. Which was interesting. Obviously not all of America is like Borat. Some parts are, but not all of it. And I'd had a relationship with LA before. My parents were both in the industry and they'd lived in LA in the 80s through the 90s. So I had godparents out there and I had friends that I'd grown up with as a little tiny girl that I sort of rekindled with. And, I also had the absolute adoration of old Hollywood that kind of just felt safe to me. Mm-hmm. And I still feel like that. I love looking around LA and seeing the architecture and being able to look at these palm trees that feel like they're, starved of moisture, reaching up so high, trying to get some drink. And yet they've got these tufts at the top where they feel like they've got a lot of secrets from a long time ago. And I just like that they might know, you know, what Elizabeth Taylor was thinking at a certain point, or like what, Vivian Leigh was doing on a random Tuesday, and things like that I just think are really intoxicating about Los Angeles. And it's the one city that I have arrived at, and it just goes, okay, welcome, make me who you want me to be.
Yes. And
that can be both dangerous and also incredible. I've definitely fallen down some rabbit holes, and then it has always been like a kind of romance that hasn't ever fully been broken. And so I'm a weird romantic about Los Angeles. And the culture shock, I think, was more about downtime when you're not working, and actually being happily surprised that LA sort of encouraged me to do things that I maybe hadn't made time for back in England. Things like I love to draw, I love to sketch. I wanted to go to fashion college when I was younger. And I wanted to do a line of surrealist lingerie. And so
I've seen the wink and the lips.
Yes, totally. So that's good. I mean, and there's books and books of that kind of stuff. And so making time to do more of that, and then also kind of like, you know, stretch my my abilities a bit, of not just designing lingerie, but actually being really interested in drawing different forms of women and shapes of women. And I use nail polish to paint my drawings. So I can create some good effects with that. And I make jewelry, I make clothes. I like listening to, you know, records. I love watching movies. I'd like to make more time to read books, actually. That I feel like sometimes takes a second kind of seat, which I love reading. But LA really encouraged me to not just make that a hobby, but actually kind of put ideas down or try bring them to life in a way that you can't feel bored, and you can't just sit. And because, you know, I think I'm definitely guilty of, if I have too much time off and I'm sat in a space, I'll try on my wardrobe and hate everything about me, and looking in the mirror can be the real evil, the devil. But I think in a place where you would think actually a lot of your insecurities can be really fueled, it can be a place that really encourages you to remember how important your brain is. It's the sexiest part of all of us. And it is so connected with our heart. And I think if you really tap into your brain and you understand that actually knowing things is just going to be the greatest gift that you can possibly get. Because it means you have more empathy. The more you know, the more you can empathize, right? And the more you can kind of be open to learning all different types of people and ways of life and skills. And you may not perfect those skills ever, but you can try them. And I think I didn't expect LA to encourage that from me. I
have never thought of LA as other than like a quick in and out. That's how we've always functioned. That's how I've always functioned with LA. We're headed out to LA at the end of this week, and I'm so excited. I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm so excited to look up at the top of the palm trees and
just imagine what stories they've got.
Seen.
Yeah, when you think of some of the iconic Hollywood people and people that changed our lives with their performances or their, you know, the way they captured a moment on camera and things like that. And I love that. There's something exciting about that to me. Even also dreams that fell apart, you know.
Well, also the idea that when you're out there, you have this pool of people who are there to create. Yeah. And so to think to be like inspired by that and to do it not only in your career, but then also in your free time, encouraging your hobbies and things like that. What a beautiful way to let the city dictate how you're living. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think and that did surprise me.
That's incredible. Oh, I can't wait to go now. This is exciting.